So our next speaker, I'd like to turn it over to Afrah Shafquat. So she joins us from our metadata division. So we're now going to shift from kind of the input model building to the output of comparing models with actual clinical trial and real world data, and combining what we can get in the real world and virtual world and using artificial intelligence to give us a better picture of what's really happening. So she's going to come and join us and talk about her work using generative AI and virtual twins. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Afrah Shafquat. I'm a senior data scientist at MyData AI, and today I'll be talking about how generative AI and synthetic clinical trial data has been accelerating the virtual twin vision at Dassault Systems. So generative AI, which is basically just AI that can produce content and data of different modalities, such as text data, image data, et cetera, has been transforming all the industries across the world, where, for example, in software engineering, we are now able to write better code, where while I'm typing on the computer, AI can now predict what my next thoughts are and be able to produce better test cases and write better efficient code, improving the overall process of software engineering and building more robust solutions in a more efficient way. In healthcare, generative AI is being used to propose drug design, improving the process of drug discovery, as well as making current AI models better in terms of disease classification. When it comes to art, everybody has seen the example of how generative AI has brought the Mona Lisa to life, pretty much, right? So the ability to render from 2D sketches to digital renderings is also part of an example of how generative AI has transformed the industry. So let's take a look at exactly how this is doing it. One of the products of generative AI that is on the market is the proposition of creating a business photo shoot. So a customer like myself will go to this model. I will send this model a couple of pictures of mine and ask a prompt. I'll say, I want a business photo shoot wearing a white sweater or a white blouse. And the pictures that will come out of this model are basically, as shown here, that is not a sweater that I own or a blouse that I own. That's a synthetic version of myself. And to look and really understand how this model can do that, how does it really understand what a white sweater is? What does it mean to do a business photo shoot? This model is trained on millions of images that are accompanied by labels and descriptors that are corresponding to these images, that are able to tell the model, what does it mean when I say a business photo shoot or a white blouse? Now, when the model is trained on these images and the corresponding labels and descriptors that are corresponding to these images, when a user like myself comes in and says, how would I look like with orange hair or a blue sweater, the model is able to know what does that actually mean and be able to create such images. Now, what if we could use the same learnings and apply them to healthcare? What if we can simulate patient journeys in clinical trials, where every single point in a patient journey provides an opportunity for improvement in a clinical trial. And these are a couple of examples of what more we could do and what more we could do to improve and simulate at each single point such that we're able to improve patient outcomes. Sorry, it's not working. There we go. Now, to be able to do this, as we saw, the model really needs a lot of data to understand and be able to simulate and create these synthetic twins. What if we understood this journey for 100 patients for 3,000? Could we generate such a model? At MyData AI, which is the company that I work at, part of Dassault Systèmes, we have a wealth of knowledge on clinical trial data, where we have clinical trial data from over 9 million trial participants across 30,000 clinical trials, carrying around over 110 clinical variables across major disease indications such as oncology, cardiometabolic disorders, autoimmune, central nervous system, et cetera. Where to really ground why this is important, if you look at the CAR T-cell cancer therapy, where there are a number of people here who better understand how this therapy works better than I do, but this therapy is used to treat really advanced cancers where it's really tricky to administer and requires constant monitoring for adverse events. However, the majority of the data that is contained for these particular CAR-T-treated subjects is contained within a couple of clinical trial sponsors. And this data remains siloed, where most sponsors, clinical trial sponsors, have less than 15 CAR-T-treated subjects. In contrast, my data has over 5,000 subjects that have been treated with this specific therapy. What if we could, given that we're in this very unique position of having such a wealth of repository of clinical trial data sets, that puts us in a very unique position to create such data sets and be able to share this knowledge such that better treatments can be produced. The reason why this data remains siloed currently is because sponsors don't want to talk to each other. They don't want to share data, given concerns of trial sponsor anonymity, of course, where they have proprietary information about their drugs that they do not want to be shared, as well as patient privacy, where they do not want to disclose important information and private information about patients across publicly, which puts us in this unique and amazing position such that we have access to clinical trial data across sponsors, where we're able to aggregate all that information and use our AI models to create a clinical trial twin data set that is ready and safe to be shared, such that it preserves the patient's privacy, given that it is not real data, it is synthetic data. So there are no real patients that you can find in Oklahoma from that particular data set, as well as the trial sponsor non-MIT disclosure risk is minimized because this is aggregated data and standardized in such a way that the sponsors or consumers of this data set would not be able to trace back of which drug is being tested. So when it comes to the question, can we create a generative AI twin of clinical trial data sets? Can we simulate these patient journeys? The answer is my data is in a perfect place to be able to do so through the technology of synthetic data, where synthetic data is basically data that is generated using a generative AI model. It's been predicted by 2030, synthetic data will overshadow real data ingestion, and has been used across the industry in clinical trials, real-world data, as well as the broader industry, such that people are using these synthetic data sets to improve their AI models as well as their current practices. Simulants is our synthetic data solution, which is able to create these clinical trial data set twins. As you can see on the first plot, that's a PCA plot. Blue indicates real data, orange indicates the synthetic data that we generated. What you really want to see is a really good overlap between that scatter plot, which really shows that the data is aligned. What the consumers of these data sets are interested in is, if I do a specific analysis, will I receive or will I deduce similar insights from the real data versus the synthetic data that I'm consuming? And the answer is yes. Here we are showing some Kaplan-Meier curves describing the overall survival rate as well as the progression-free survival rate. In gray, you can see the real data. In red, you can see the simulant synthetic data. And what you can see is that if you use our synthetic clinical trial twin data versus the real data, you would infer similar insights. This solution has been published at AMIA. We highly believe in open sourcing our technology and really having the academic input in terms of, are we doing our best in terms of preserving the privacy as well as improving the fidelity. We have published at AMIA, at NeurIPS, at ODSC this year, and our product and data has been used by top 20 pharma as well as a bunch of biotech companies. And this product really has synergy across Dassault systems, across different science-led initiatives. You've all heard about and participated in the Living Heart Project. We worked with Zhang Yao's team on the Living Heart Project, where we were able to show that the synthetic data that we can create through that is generated from the physics-based models can really augment those physics-based data sets and have a lot of agreement, similar agreement to similar insights from the synthetic data compared to the physics-based data. We collaborated with Aziz Kotian as well on the disease progression model, which is the ID network, neural network model that has also been published in an academic journal. And we were able to produce synthetic clinical trial data sets to provide for the validation. So there's a lot of synergy in terms of the science-led initiatives that are currently being pursued, as well as the future initiatives. And lastly, I want to leave all of you with this slide that's been designed by Jacob Optakar from MyData AI. This is his vision, right? Like, generative AI supports a healthy, resilient biopharma ecosystem, similar to how forests rely on nutrient sharing by fungi between plants to support a healthy local ecosystem. Biopharma relies on knowledge sharing to support a healthy, productive ecosystem for innovation, where synthetic data and generative AI is an accelerator in this virtual twin ecosystem to really be able to provide and deliver fruitful insights that can improve drug delivery and drug innovation across the entire ecosystem. Thank you. Again, if you have any questions, even after this talk, because I'm going to catch a flight after this, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Happy to collaborate and to brainstorm ideas. And thank you again to my entire MyData team and Stephen, Levine, and Jang for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Afrah. Fantastic flyover of what really is a game changer for the industry. You know, imagine, we heard about synthetic control arms. Imagine cutting trial costs and invasion in half just to start. It's incredible. And we also heard during the clinical trial, or the in silico clinical trial panel that we had earlier about the extrapolation from acute behavior to long-term behavior. And that's really where these kinds of synthetic data, where you collect the real data and then map it onto the past. That's where the power really comes in, so the pieces come in. So let me open it up for questions to the audience, if we have any. So Afrah's not going to be around later for questions, so if you got anything burning right now, ask now. Otherwise, find her online. Okay, I think. Oh, we do have one.
Question. Owen Richfield from Yale again. How can you talk about error in the synthetic data, how that propagates through any of the models that you develop from that synthetic data, and what you're doing to quantify both the error and how it propagates?
So you're talking about uncertainty in the inferences that we're creating from synthetic data, or the errors and in the synthetic data itself?
Both.
Both. Okay, so the answer to the first is pretty easy. We do thorough cross-validation for all the insights for our consumers. So we are able to show empirically that whatever analysis you're interested in, our product is able to infer same insights. So the graphs that I was showing you here is basically what we show our customers, that this is the analysis that you're interested in. You can see the differences in the different populations that we're putting out.
And the uncertainty?
So when it comes to synthetic data, the idea is that you're sampling from the same population, the same distribution, that is the real data distribution. So given that it is the same population, the idea is that there is no error, right, in that way. But obviously there is error in terms of if there are specific ways that you want to be, if there are specific connections that you want to preserve and that are not preserved, then you are able to quantify those in a more directed way, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Owen. Are there any others? Excuse me. Okay. So I want to remind everyone that Afrah actually gave a very nice presentation in December that's online. I referred to it earlier on the detail of that project she did with Living Heart and the FDA project, the enrichment project. So if you want to learn more about that, visit that online. If you want to learn more about the broader area, find her. She'd be very open to share her ideas. Once again,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.